Fred Astaire spent his life looking perfect on camera. Every step, every smile, every bow tie seemed effortless. But in 2025, a forgotten photograph from 1950 surfaced online and went viral within hours. It showed Fred not as the graceful dancing legend everyone adored, but as an exhausted, broken man slumped in a chair, eyes hollow, collar damp with sweat. On the back of the photo, faint pencil words revealed something no one was meant to see. 2 sleepless nights. Jane still perfect. I'm off by half a beat. Donan wants a third take. Smile, Freddie. Smile. Can't. Beneath the note, he'd sketched a spinning room and labeled it, hamster wheel. Those words, written during the filming of Royal Wedding, showed the cost of perfection, the weight behind his charm and control. Fred Astaire was born Frederick Austerlitz on May 10, 1899, in Omaha, Nebraska. His father, Fritz, had immigrated from Austria in 1893, working as a beer salesman, while his mother, Anne, gave piano lessons to help the family survive. From the moment Fred could walk, he copied his older sister Adele's dance moves. Their mother believed show business could lift them out of poverty, and that belief became their family's mission. When Fred was 4, Adele began formal dance lessons and Fred followed. By 1905, after Fritz lost his job, the family moved to New York, deep in debt but determined. Fred was only 6 when he and Adele began performing in small vaudeville acts, earning $50 a show. Long rehearsals often lasted 12 hours. There were no child labor laws to protect them, but Fred worked tirelessly, adding piano, accordion, and clarinet to their act. By age 7, the siblings had a stage name, the Astaires, and were touring the Midwest, performing up to 20 times a week. Though their shows brought some stability, life remained hard. When Fred was 10, he froze on stage in New Jersey, paralyzed by fear. His mother blamed illness to protect his reputation, but the shame haunted him. Instead of quitting, Fred turned his fear into discipline. He practiced obsessively until perfection became his armor. In 1917, the Astaires broke through with Over the Top, earning $250 a week. Critics praised their timing and chemistry, but while Adele's charm drew attention from royalty, Fred became increasingly consumed by the work. When she fell in love with Lord Charles Cavendish and decided to leave the stage in 1932, Fred was devastated. After 27 years together, he was suddenly alone. He went to Hollywood, where RKO's screen test report on him was cruel. Balding, can't act, slightly photogenic, dances a little. Yet in 1933, flying down to Rio changed everything. His brief dance with Ginger Rogers electrified audiences, turning him into a star overnight. Still, the perfectionist in him couldn't rest. He demanded over 100 takes for a single 40-second routine, driving budgets sky-high and earning a reputation for being difficult. But his pursuit of excellence defined him. He oversaw every detail, from costume sequence to lighting, refusing anything less than flawless. His partnership with Rogers became legendary. Between 1933 and 1939, they made 9 musicals, 6 of which topped RKO's box office. Behind the glamour, the work was grueling. Rogers's feet bled from endless retakes. Fred rehearsed until exhaustion. Yet their film's top hat, Swing Time, Shall We Dance, set new standards for elegance and rhythm. When George Gershwin, the composer behind many of their hits, died in 1937, Fred was devastated. During the filming of They Can't Take That Away From Me, he broke down mid-rehearsal, unable to continue. The studio shot the scene in one take to spare him further pain. As the 1940s arrived, Fred sought new challenges. At MGM, he filmed Broadway Melody of 1940, performing the 4-minute Begin the Begin sequence with Eleanor Powell in a single take, one of cinema's greatest dances. But the physical strain took its toll. He smoked heavily, battled nerves, and hid injuries. Still, he kept creating. You Were Never Lovelier with Rita Hayworth in 1942 showed a fresh Latin flair. An Easter Parade in 1948, made after Gene Kelly's injury, revived his career. When he danced up the walls in Royal Wedding in 1951, audiences thought it was camera magic, but it wasn't. The entire set rotated on a massive steel drum, and Fred danced inside it without a harness, timing each step with mechanical precision. In Funny Face 1957, he charmed alongside Audrey Hepburn, though the 29-year age gap stirred discomfort. 2 years later, On the Beach revealed a new side of him, an aging scientist facing the end of the world. The film had no dancing, just raw emotion. Critics were stunned, and Fred earned a Golden Globe nomination. But even as he turned toward acting, he could never fully escape dance. In 1958, his television special An Evening with Fred Astaire won 9 Emmys, the most of any program that year. Few knew that cue cards were hidden around the set because he had begun forgetting lyrics. Arthritis forced him to take painkillers, and by 1960, he could barely finish live performances without help. The man who once embodied grace was breaking down, piece by piece. Yet he pushed on. He starred in Finian's Rainbow in 1968, clashing with director Francis Ford Coppola over civil rights themes he initially didn't understand. When protesters later picketed one of his Broadway shows, he apologized for an earlier incident in 1941, when he had refused to share a stage with a black dance group in segregated Florida. He later donated to civil rights causes, calling that decision his darkest mistake. Fred's personal life was filled with love and loss. He married Phyllis Potter in 1933, and though their relationship seemed ideal, it carried quiet heartbreak. Phyllis suffered a miscarriage in 1941 and died from lung cancer in 1954. Fred, devastated, turned to alcohol and was arrested for drunk driving in 1955, a story MGM buried for decades. He entered rehab, recovered, and returned to work, but his private world had cracked. His 2 children, Fred Jr. and Ava, grew up mostly without him. Decades later, unsent letters from his son surfaced, pleas for his father to come home. "The only steps I know," one read, "are the ones you're never here to climb with me." Despite his wealth, Fred lived modestly. Between 1946 and 1958, he donated over $500,000 to dance schools anonymously. But even generosity brought trouble. An IRS audit in 1959 uncovered unreported gifts, forcing him to pay $200,000 in back taxes. His rivalry with Gene Kelly also cast long shadows. Fred once called Kelly's style too athletic, like dancing for weightlifters, and MGM canceled a planned duet to keep peace. With Ginger Rogers, gossip hinted at a brief romance the studio paid to hide, though both denied it publicly. Under the polish, Fred battled constant anxiety. He suffered panic attacks and insomnia, often medicating himself to perform. During the filming of Swing Time, MGM built him a private quiet room, filled with soft music to calm his nerves. His wife Robin, whom he married in 1980 at age 81 to the shock of Hollywood, later said he kept small vials of medicine hidden in every tuxedo pocket. Critics mocked their 46-year age gap, but their marriage lasted until his death. She inherited little and never sought more, proving her love genuine. In his later years, Fred faced declining health but continued to act, appearing in Battlestar Galactica and Ghost Story.